be locked in that cell 23 hours a day. There will be a bed. There will probably be a steel toilet with no seat on it, 3 showers a week. My advice would be keep quiet, keep to yourself. It has to be more of a culture shock than anything else.
The phrase, "the fall of a mogul," sums up Diddy's current predicament. Sean Diddy, whose career has lasted more than 30 years, gained notoriety through bad boy tracks, influencing the careers of musicians such as Mary J. Blige, Mase, and Biggie Smalls. Diddy appeared impenetrable thanks to his tremendous fashion and liquor endeavors, as well as his chart-topping tunes. But in a flash, everything was different. Diddy is currently incarcerated at the Metropolitan Detention Facility. Imagine having to struggle for survival in one of America's most infamous prisons after living in a multimillion-dollar home. That's Diddy's current situation.
Meals are supposed to be nutritionally balanced and edible. He would receive 3 meals per day, very basic meal expectations. He will have his meals delivered to him. He would not go to a dining hall in a high-rise like the MDC Brooklyn. The correctional officer on the unit delivers them to the detainee or the...
Diddy's arrest, however, quickly gained widespread attention on social media. People were astounded by what they saw. This was the celebrity and mogul Diddy, who is currently being charged with a crime. Some began to express that they never imagined the day would come. For others, it represented the downfall of a guy who had long operated according to his own standards. Diddy's arrest offered everyone something to talk about, and they did, in a time when social media feeds on the spectacular. The big shocker, though, is that after being arrested, Diddy's existence in prison is far less comfortable than his usual one. The Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center is a nightmare in every way, a far cry from the surroundings of his million-dollar residences. The inmates there are not exaggerating when they say it's hell on earth. Long-standing complaints have been made about the facilities at MDC, including moldy showers that hardly function, cockroach infestations in abundance, and temperatures that fluctuate between excruciating heat and freezing cold. It's the type of location where the air is heavy with despair and the walls are moist. Inmates are always exhausted because the fluorescent lights never seem to go out. Survivors at MDC tell horrifying tales of the brutality, abuse, and neglect that occurred there. According to inmates, they have had to struggle to get basic supplies like food and toiletries. According to one former prisoner, the facility is a battle zone where staff members ignore.
2 forced and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here.
These are isolated occurrences. Diddy is currently at MDC, which has a bad reputation. This is the hardest reality check for a man accustomed to 5-star hotels and private planes. Just surviving, no comfort or luxury. Wait till you hear what Diddy is going through personally if you believe that the physical conditions were poor. Diddy has had to deal with the hard reality of being a well-known target behind jail ever since joining MDC. Shortly after his arrival, Diddy was pummeled by other prisoners, according to insider sources. Famous people are frequently targeted for attacks while incarcerated, and Diddy is no different given his celebrity and fortune. He was severely beaten, leaving him wounded and battered. According to prison sources, such violence is evident, particularly for offenders who stand out. The jail has isolated Diddy to keep him safe. This is a kind of punishment in and of itself, even though it might physically protect him from future assaults. Prison isolation is a negative experience. It's about being totally cut off, not simply about being by yourself. Just the icy silence of a little cell, with no contact or conversation with other prisoners. This isolation is psychologically damaging for someone who has lived his entire life in the spotlight, surrounded by people. According to experts, prolonged seclusion can result in serious mental health problems, ranging from despair and anxiety to complete insanity.
You have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet. to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
Diddy is now pleading with the court for any respite from this ordeal, as desperate times need desperate measures. His legal team has been working non-stop since his detention to get him out of the harsh conditions at the Metropolitan Detention Center. They have been submitting motions to demand bail, claiming that Diddy is in grave danger in an institution notorious for its brutality and cruel treatment. Citing the serious toll these conditions are having on his health and well-being in addition to the fact that he is a high-profile target, his lawyers are begging the judge for his release, even if it is only temporary. Diddy's plea in court has been passionate. His legal team has presented a picture of a man who has gone from enjoying unthinkable opulence to constantly battling for his safety. They contend that the unforgiving circumstances at MDC are not just challenging, but also hazardous. Diddy is currently experiencing physical and mental agony after being subjected to severe beatings and sequestered for his own safety. According to insiders, he has changed significantly since his initial arrest, and his stress is evident on his face when he appears in court. The self-assured tycoon has vanished, and in his place is a man who is anxious to get out of the prison life nightmare. However, the legal fight to protect Diddy is not an easy one. The prosecution has resisted strongly, claiming that Diddy's money and resources make him a flight risk, even though his lawyers are making every effort to secure bail. However, they contend that he must be kept in detention due to the seriousness of the charges against him. In addition, Diddy's team is attempting to work out a possible transfer to another institution during the trial, one that would provide greater security and less of the harsh conditions he's seeing at MDC. However, Diddy is confined to one of the most infamous prisons in the nation until the judge renders a ruling. As if prison life wasn't difficult enough, there have been rumors that the very individuals tasked with protecting prisoners might be making matters worse. Diddy's case is not an outlier to the long-standing allegations of guard misconduct at MDC. MDC inmates have told tales of guards smuggling illegal goods, ignoring acts of violence, and even encouraging specific attacks in exchange for cash or favors. Diddy is put in even greater danger as a result of this wrongdoing. There is no true system of accountability behind the prison walls since the guards are more focused on their side projects than on keeping the convicts safe. Diddy's predicament is made even more horrifying by the idea that those who ought to be maintaining order are instead adding to the mayhem. Corruption is a systemic issue that affects more than simply Diddy. Whistleblowers and ex-offenders have revealed that MDC is essentially controlled by gangs, and that guards either work with them or avoid them. This simply makes Diddy's everyday danger level higher for someone who is already a target due to his wealth and notoriety. Navigating a system where the authorities can be working against him is more important than simply surviving the living conditions. The outside world has a lot to say and is not always sympathetic as Diddy battles for his life in prison. For some, this is simply karma returning to haunt them. Comments praising his demise have been all over social media. He should remain exactly where he is, the writer wrote. For law enforcement to pursue him like Bin Laden, no one has to be paying them. He's getting precisely what he deserves, to add another one. There has been a lot of controversy surrounding Diddy's career, and some people believe that his decline was well earned. They see his current predicament as a long overdue retribution for years of alleged wrongdoing. His torture at MDC is viewed by many people as poetic justice. With every new development, the discussion around Diddy's case has only been louder. While some contend that he shouldn't have been placed in such a hazardous situation in the first place, others think he's now receiving the justice he deserves. Alright, so Diddy isn't the only topic here. It concerns the speed at which privilege and power can vanish when the system turns against you. Diddy's tale is a startling reminder of how even the most powerful people can turn weak if they get caught up in the judicial system. Diddy has lived a life filled with extravagant parties, high-end couture, and unthinkable luxury private jets for years. But in prison, none of that mattered. His riches and power, which shielded him from the harsh truths of life, are no longer enough to keep him safe from the icy grasp of the legal system. This demise stands in stark contrast to the well-known business magnate who made millions from his music, fashion, and media endeavors and transformed Bad Boy Records into a major force. He's currently in a jail cell in one of the harshest correctional facilities in the nation, rather than the luxury of his multimillion-dollar estate. In a place like MDC, the transition from a life of luxury to one of survival emphasizes how brittle riches and power are. In a system infamous for corruption, violence, and dehumanizing conditions, fame cannot purchase better treatment. It raises the question of how safe our reliance on wealth and position is if someone like Diddy can fall this far. It's difficult to overlook the irony here. A reality where Diddy's safety is uncertain and his everyday existence is characterized by loneliness and anxiety has taken the place of his former life. It demonstrates the transient nature of privilege in many respects. One moment you're mingling with world leaders and celebrities, and the next you're just another prisoner attempting to make it through. In an effort to get him out of MDC and into a safer setting, his attorneys are fighting to the death. However, it's difficult to forecast what the upcoming weeks or months will hold because the legal process moves slowly. Diddy faces severe charges, and even if he is released on bail or moved to a better prison, there is still a long and uncertain path ahead. Diddy's ability to escape the worst that MDC has to give will probably be decided at upcoming court hearings, but these proceedings also hold the key to whether his empire will survive this experience. Additionally, there's a very strong chance that this is the start of the end for him. However, how do you feel about Diddy's current circumstances? Please share your opinions in the comments section. That concludes today. I'll see you in the upcoming video, too.